Welcome to the American RoundTable. Politics is unusual. Yes, you have entered the truth-telling sexy zone. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Tom McCullough, trying to fit in.
You fit it just fine, brother. Hey, we got a great show for you. We have Lena Cisco. She's written a new book, and it's called You're Lying. And it's how you can tell if people are lying, which is a really interesting thing to be able to do. She's going to take a look at some of the people running for the highest office, and she's going to say whether they're worth voting for, because who wants a liar in office, right? So we'll be, do you?
Well, let's try something new. Yeah, let's not have one in office.
Yeah, let's see. So we're going to talk about your crush, which is Carly Fiorina. We'll also hit up the Donald and others. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Tom McCullough.
And you're watching the American RoundTable. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the American RoundTable. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Tom McCullough.
And by the way, it's great to have you watching. We are very happy to be here on Tough TV, and we look forward to many more years of giving you the most insightful political insight. Tom McCullough is one of the most astute political, I'm not going to embarrass him, I hope, but one of the most astute political observers. And so we like to use him as the other side of the roundtable.
Something of an opinionist, maybe.
I think that too. But then again, so am I. Let's talk about, of course, the big story, Clinton apologizing, showing a little humility, a little human quality. She's been a little cold in this campaign. I think she's always been a little aloof. Hard to really warm up to a Hillary. So first off, what is your take, Tom, on this?
Well, I think they're trying to put a round peg in a square hole here. I think what we've seen to date is who she is. And this whole new attempt, as the poll numbers drop faster than my libido, they decided we need to go out there and put on a new face. And I think it's too little too late, really.
I don't think it's too little too late. I have to disagree with you because it is still extremely early in the election season. We haven't even had primaries yet. But here's my take.
Joe steps out. Go ahead.
What we're talking about, this is funny because now the Republicans and some Democrats want Joe to run because Joe will lose, and whoever the Republicans run will win pretty much because Joe is not a strong candidate. He's done well as vice president, but he's too old. He's 72. I think that's a little up there for the presidency. Not that that's up there, but it's, for the presidency. But I think he's kind of reached the plateau of his power.
Well, I'm fine with him being a spoiler. Let's bring him in.
I know you are. So here's the quote from Hillary. She apologizes for using a private email server when she was at the U.S. State Department as Secretary of State, which she served for 4 years under the first Obama term. The quote is, "That was a mistake. I'm sorry about that. I take responsibility." And of course, she just did this on TV. Let's watch it.
I did hear a word in there just a moment ago, and I'm curious. Would you acknowledge that you made a mistake here? Because you wrote in your own memoir last year just how important using the word mistake is in politics. You wrote, "In our political culture, saying you made a mistake is often taken as weakness, when in fact it can be a sign of strength." And so as you sit here, millions watching tonight, did you make a mistake?
I did. As I said, it was allowed, and there was no hiding it. It was totally above board. Everybody in the government I communicated with, and that was a lot of people, knew I was using a personal email. But I'm sorry that it has, raised all of these questions. I do take responsibility for having made what is clearly not the best decision.
And so this is the interview she did with ABC News. The news channel reported ahead of the full broadcast of the interview at 6:30. This was recently. In two earlier interviews, Clinton had declined to apologize for the controversial email arrangement while working as the nation's top diplomat. And, of course, Clinton's been forced to defend herself. But this kinder, gentler Clinton, what do you think of that?
I think when you read "that was a mistake, I'm sorry about that," it has some gravitas, some weight to it. When you see her actually deliver it, it looks like it's killing her to say it, even though she's trying to put on the contrite and remorseful face. That's my read of it, and I think it's all fake and it's all a lie.
Well, I like that she prefaced her apology with everything was above board, it was all legal.
And
But
several other people have more than one email account too, or I carry more than
But it was kind of interesting, David Muir calling her out and saying, so you're going back on that initial explanation of, oh well, I had 2 cell phones and I needed 2 emails. Remember that one? But a lot of people don't. But that was the very first thing. And I'll call anybody out because that's what this show is. Whether they're Democrat or Republican, doesn't really matter. We're trying to get at the truth, Tom McCullough and I. That's why we're doing the American Roundtable. And we're trying to have a lot of fun doing it, which of course we are. So the thing about Clinton in the time we have is this will not harm her as of next year. She'll be running her positive ads. She'll be crying more on air. I think that this is a bump in the road, but she'll be able to overcome it. Heck, if she overcame Whitewater and Rose Law Firm stuff, I think she'll overcome this.
Well, she's got October. She sits in front of the Senate committee, gets past October, and then she's going to try and find a sense of humor, try and force a smile that doesn't look like a crack in a dam, and try and recover some lift there. I agree.
And, of course, some lift. Only you, Tom McCullough. And this is an original show called The American Roundtable. This is politics as unusual, and we are crossing into what they call the Straight Talk Zone. Okay? It's like the Straight Talk Express, except it's more than express. It's a zone. All right? It's a zone of influence, and it's some kind of...
Hopefully it stimulates some thought, some
Absolutely.
feedback. Maybe you're right with us on this, and maybe you're not. But we want to talk about it.
It's the American Roundtable. I'm Al Spry.
And Tom McCullough.
And we'll be right back in a moment. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. I'm Al Spry.
Tom McCullough.
We have a great guest on. She is a interrogator supremo, they call that. I think that's the Spanish word for it. She wrote a book called You're Lying, Secrets from an Expert Military Interrogator to Spot the Lies and Get to the Truth. Lena Cisco, without any further ado, welcome to the American Roundtable.
Thank you so much, Al.
Well, Lena, you were the last guest on my old show, and now you're the first guest on my new show. I thought that'd be kind of fun.
And I'm honored to be it.
Well, thank you. Why don't we go ahead and talk about this book, You're Lying, and talk about why you wrote it.
Sure. So a lot of people question, well, how on earth could all these skills that she used as an interrogator against members of the Taliban and Al-Qaeda be applicable to me? I'm a student, I'm a principal, I'm a housewife, I'm a salesperson. But what I realized is when I left Guantanamo Bay, after interrogating all those guys, I came back, and every single day after, I have used my skills. Because even though as an interrogator, I was trained by the military, I was a Department of Defense certified military interrogator, we had a whole bunch of techniques that we used, but I always fell back on rapport building, good questioning technique, and detecting deception, which everybody can use no matter what you do or what your profession is.
You know, I know for years they've talked about the technique of mirroring when you're in sales. You try to kind of act like the other person. Is that still applicable, or has that been replaced by something else?
No, it's very applicable. And the funny thing is, as I teach that, I teach it in my enhanced communication courses, you can mirror 2 ways. You can mirror a person's body language, so it's almost like you are positioning your body to look like theirs.
Right,
or
like
you're
Tom is sitting to my left,
type.
and he has his arm kind of on the table like this, and his hands are clasped, and he's kind of tilting this way. And so I'm just kind of going to do that. Now, that would be mirroring, right?
Exactly.
Need a bigger mirror.
But here's the tricky thing. You don't want to mimic him, though, because then he's going to start to feel really creepy. And
well, we don't want Tom to feel creepy.
I
He
started
feels
out that
creepy
way.
enough as it
I
is.
started out that
You
way.
want to be creepy and weird.
There
No.
you go. There you go.
But you
that's
kind of got
so
to,
you
a little
have to
bit
be
kind of
careful.
maybe, you know, kind of maybe do one of these. Like, because Tom's a cool mofo, by the way. You know this. And, you know, you
Well,
can
then
kind
you'd
of...
want to mirror him, because you want to be a cool.
Right. So
But
what
I
else?
tell you what, Al, I like...
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, here's another tip. Mirror people's words. because this is unobtrusive. A lot of times they have no idea you're doing it, and if you sound like another person, they automatically think, oh my God, this person's paying attention to me, she likes me, and she sounds like me. So start using types of phrases and words that they do. Because when you mimic or mirror a person's body language, sometimes it can come across as weird because you're mimicking them and they can see this. But I use words highly, highly effective. In fact, I just used it in Trader Joe's the other day just to build rapport with someone.
Were you able to get the price of their wine even below $2 a bottle with that technique?
Well, it was at a wine tasting, and I'm old, and the guy asked me for my ID, which I thought, wow, this is an honor. Sure, have it. So it's an old picture, and he's like, you had dark hair there. I was like, ooh, yes, I did. I used this thing called bleach. And he said, well, I call it witchcraft. So I was like, you know what? If you're going to call it witchcraft, I'm going to call it witchcraft. And so I started using his words. Instantaneously, I got a huge smile. He liked me, started talking to me. Boom, rapport was built.
I thought you were going to tell me. I thought you were going to tell me you hit him over the head with your broom after that comment. But
you know,
it
kind of almost sounded like he was hitting on you a little bit.
She hit on him with a broom. That's my point.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Let me throw something in here.
I don't know.
Just a little off page here for a second. When someone is, let's say there's a political candidate out there who is getting a lot of media noise about their perception as being a liar, and when pressed and denying and ultimately feeling that my opportunities are slipping beneath my feet like sand at the beach, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell you the truth now. That must be interesting for someone like you that is such an expert at the body language and the tell, because it seemed to me when I saw somebody on the news last night telling me that they're really sorry and they didn't mean it, and I actually am going to use the word I apologize. It looked like it would have been easier taking my hand through metal or steel, to the other side.
Yeah.
Tell us how you really feel, Tom.
This is just a speculative. This is just an observational question here.
Remember, Tom's not a journalist, so he could actually take a point of view, and so can I. But that's your question there.
All right. So, what's your question about this political person?
Well, I guess my question would be that let's say someone has been lying for some amount of time, and now they have no choice but to put it out there and apologize, something that is a word they not only don't use, they can't spell. When they actually come clean with brackets around it, that must be something for you to see the body language there. It's like, all right, I'm telling you the truth, but I really don't want to.
Yeah.
You must have seen that over the years when you've compelled or somehow coerced people into telling you something they didn't want to tell you. You probably saw it coming, but then it's like a beacon to you, I imagine, when it happens.
It is. Oh, if you look at Lance Armstrong, right, and I'll give you a couple examples here real quick. Lance Armstrong, never doped, I didn't dope. He started bullying, getting super aggressive. Finally, he comes out, oh, yes, I did. I've been doping for 7 years. And he decides to go on Oprah, right? He still did not come completely clean. I use that segment in my training videos, I show that video to say, he is telling the truth about X, Y, and Z, but he is still not telling the truth about this stuff. So people will come clean to a certain extent, but they're not going to come all the way clean. Another one, Anthony Weiner. You could see him. He was the same as Lance Armstrong. Very aggressive, in your face, yelling at reporters, never answering questions, name calling, all this unprofessionalism. Then all of a sudden he throws his hands up. Oops, okay, I'm caught. Now I have to come clean. And the difference you can see in them is, and I teach this, is a use of pronouns. So when people lie, some of them become very aggressive, but you'll never hear them associate themselves with the lie. So you're never going to hear, I did this, or something happened to me, or I want to do this. They leave out me and I. And Anthony Weiner is a classic example. When he finally confessed, just like Tiger Woods, it was, I'm sorry, I did this. Now they're taking ownership.
One bit of history that doesn't escape me is when somebody did use the I word, but it was laced with a lie, and that was, I did not have sex with that woman. When you saw, and in his mind, it comes back to his definition of sex. I realize there's been a lot of dialogue and ideas about that, but
Yes.
When you saw that, what was your reaction? Did you happen to see
I
that
laughed.
when it actually happened?
Oh, you said you laughed?
I laughed. So here's the funny thing. So he did use I. So I'm thinking, and people may think, well, he's taking responsibility. But he's taking responsibility telling us I did not. When people break apart contractions, that's a way of convincing us of what they want us to hear, not necessarily the truth. Liars break apart contractions. Truthful people don't, because they don't speak like that. We don't have to convince people of anything. We just convey information. So when you start hearing, I did not do this, I should not, I could not. Yeah, perk up the ears, because what's coming next is probably a lie.
See.
Well, I was going to add, so it's that they're trying to sell it on to you.
Right.
They're trying to push it on you, like I did not. You know what? It's interesting. Clinton later on talking about 9/11, used that same tone of voice when he said anyone that questions the 9/11 story is not a, and it was that same voice, I did not have sex. Does it mean that he's lying about that too?
You know what? I didn't see that. I'm going to have to look at that one.
You'll have to look
but
at
the
that
same voice does concern me. And if he's breaking apart contractions, that
it was
concerns
the
me too. But
same
I haven't
style
seen that.
of thing when he's trying to be Mr. I'm the, what's it called?
Cool.
Dominant.
Yeah.
It's a dominant tone he uses.
Yeah.
And I think there's
Powerful.
an assumption on that part that you're going to take what I have to say and you're going to believe it, whether it's true or not. I think having arrived at a certain point in position in life of power and or perception, that I'm going to tell you this and you're going to believe it, and that's that.
Yeah.
Until you
Totally.
come on the scene, then everything changes.
I want to do something fun with
Right,
it, because
of course.
I've interviewed you a few times, but since it's the election season, I'd like you to, and you've looked at all the candidates because you're very astute and you're a person who is up to date with current events. So tell me, I'm going to give you a few names and tell me if they're liars or if they're being honest most of the time. The first guy I'm going to start with is Bernie Sanders. What's your take on him?
Oh, my. Al, I can talk about two people because I got to honestly tell you, and I'm not lying. I've only studied the two females, Hillary and then Carly.
All right. Well,
so
tell
I
me
can
about.
give you my
Tell me
good
about.
take on both of them.
Sound
Tell
like
me about
I
Hillary.
just want to study the females. But anyway.
Tell me about
Yeah,
Hillary.
I know. I was just studying the females.
Tell me about Carly first.
Oh, wait, Donald Trump. Okay.
No. Oh, you
so
have
let's
studied
talk about
Donald.
Hillary.
Okay.
Yes, I have studied Donald, too, so we can talk about Donald. So Hillary, I hate to say it, she's a liar. She's not coming clean with the public. I don't know why, and she is just like when Anthony Weiner kept saying, I didn't send that tweet, blah, blah, blah. You look like an idiot, you know? And I've used her video as a huge training aid. I break it apart. She has so many nonverbal and verbal deceptive tells. But the fact comes down. She is asked a question. Did you wipe the server clean? She can't answer it. When people cannot answer my yes and no question, and I'll give you 3 times to answer it. If you can't, you're lying. There's something you're hiding.
I like what she's saying.
So,
if you can't answer a
be
yes or
trusted.
no question, you can't answer a yes or no question. That's a very good point. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
It is a great point, and it works. It's so simple. People don't realize it. It's so, so simple. The reporters called out Hillary and said, why can't you just answer the question? She still wouldn't. They called out Anthony Weiner. Why can't you answer the question? He still wouldn't. Because inherently people want to be honest. They don't like to lie, especially when they're on TV. So that's why. So
Well, that's
number one,
because where
she
the
can't be
evasion
trusted,
starts.
you know?
If I ask you, do you like vanilla ice cream? And you do, you'd say, yeah, I like vanilla ice cream. But if you don't, well, let me tell you about my experience with vanilla ice cream. And then you go into like this whole kind of evasion thing, right?
Yes, exactly. All you got to say is yes or no. That's it. It's really that simple. So for Donald Trump,
I'm going to have you hold that thought there because we'll take Donald on and Carly on in the next segment. But this is Lena Cisco. Lena Cisco's written a book called You're Lying. It's a great book. It is from our friends at Career Press. And, of course, you could get it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the fine bookstores. And, Lena, it's great to have you on the show. Do you have a website?
Thank you so much. I do. It's thecongruencygroup.com. I'm all over social media, so you can see my tweets and get on Facebook, too, for some interesting tidbits.
Okay, thecongruencygroup.com. And my name is Al Spry.
And I'm Tom McCullough.
And we'll be right back with a little bit more here on the American Roundtable. So glad to have you with us, and we'll see you right back. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Tom McCullough.
It's great to have you here on our many stations, and we are so happy to be doing stuff with the Tough TV network. And we say that if you're going to be watching TV, watch Tough TV. Lena Cisco, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much.
So we took on Hillary, and we said she's a liar.
We did.
How this differentiates her from every other politician, I'm not quite sure. But we're going to now ask you about the Donald. What is the Donald? What are you getting from the Donald?
So Donald Trump, he is, I love that he's uber confident, he's ballsy, he is a magnificent businessman, we all know this. But the problem is, does he have the finesse to take on foreign policy? You know, can he do this stuff? I don't think he can. What he does, he's amazing at. But he, in his speeches, I don't think he has that finesse, or he's not that eloquent to take on all of those more pressing issues. In fact, he focuses on stuff that it's not really addressing anything, and that's what he's comfortable with doing. And he likes his style. He has his own style. It's in your face. It's I'm going to say whatever I want, which is great because that tells us, hey, he's being pretty open. But still, I don't know if he has that finesse to really lead the country.
Lena, I see that he does practice a slight deflection maneuver, not necessarily away from the truth, but to buy a little time while he maybe restores or creates a response. He's trying to be direct and non-evasive with some of the direct questions, but most recently, a couple of days ago, a foreign affairs question, and that's when he wasn't quite sure. He let the reporter feed him a little bit more, and then he said, "Don't worry about it. I'm going to be when I'm the president. I'm going to be the smartest guy in the world about the world." And
now that is a deflective tactic because he just doesn't have the answer right then and there, and that's my concern with him. He doesn't. I don't think he knows enough about that to really take on leading this country. Like I said, he's a good businessman, but that's about it. And you notice when he's asked a question, he retorts right back to what he's comfortable with. And so he'll control the conversation and let the reporters feed him. I do that a lot in my interrogations, but that's what he's doing.
What do you think about his technique with his hands? Have you watched how he'll use both fingers or raise one a little higher when he's responding? Does that tell you anything at all, or is that just him being him?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Well, I will tell you, hands mean so much. So if he's talking a lot with his open hands, like Obama loves to do the basketball steeple, where you're putting your hands out in front of you, but there's space between them, and he's showing you the palm of his hand. That's pretty much saying, hey, I've got nothing to hide. I'm showing you my hands, right? Like a game of poker.
I have nothing to hide.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it. Can you tell?
Well, Obama also likes to be the first guy in the room to put his hand on somebody's shoulder. It's almost like an automatic thing. I love seeing it where it's a race between somebody else how he's going to embrace that person at arm's length. It's to make them, he thinks, making them feel comfortable.
And yes.
Yeah, I have fun watching
it. So two things with touch, right? It's dominance. He's establishing dominance. Number one, I'm putting my hand on your shoulder. I've got control over you. It's dominance. And two, we use touch as a rapport building, too. But in this case, I think with him, it's more like, hey, I'm Obama. I'm more powerful than you, and I'm going to let you know by putting my hand on your shoulder.
There you go.
I was going to ask you, and this is important, and just from watching the Donald, does he really want to be president? Or is he just doing it just to have some fun?
Wow, I love that question. I love that you're asking her that.
That is an awesome question.
Yeah.
I gotta go with my gut on this. I think he's just doing it because he can.
Well, what he doesn't have to work for is an awareness level. He has the highest recognition level of anybody running for anything out there. Everybody knows him, Middle America, the stay-at-home watch TV. Everybody knows him from his 2 TV shows, his book, and the fact that the media, even before this announcement, I mean, he doesn't have to worry about recognition. He's got that going for him. So that's an interesting point. Does he really want to be it? Does he really want that office? I think he'd take it. I think he'd love to have it. But you make a very good point.
So you agree with Lena? He's doing it because he can.
Yeah,
I
think that's my gut.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the third person you mentioned, Carly Fiorina, former HP CEO, So what's going on with Carly? You think
only good things, Lena, please.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, Tom is a man crush, lady crush on Miss Fiorina.
I gotta say, I like Carly. Oh, I love to watch her. I used her in a couple video clips too. And one is I teach, a lot about what the face does, the muscles in the face, and a lot, of course, with eye movement. And in one segment, she does the classic prolonged eye blink with the head bobble, and then that is telling us she is uber confident.
Lena,
She's
say that one more time. I have to hear that one more time. She does what?
A prolonged eye blink. So it's a very long closing of the eyelids and then an open.
Like this.
And she does the head bobble.
What's the
head
bobble?
bobble of the head.
Like that.
So you're shaking it back and forth? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like if you were to wave your finger in the air and
remember when
saying...
they're kind of doing like this? They're kind of doing their heads.
Oh, well, not that
and,
extreme.
There's no music in the back.
I know. It's music in my own head, Tom. It always plays. Tom, you got a question for Lena? I know you're loving Lena.
I got to let her finish her overview there.
Yeah, of Carly, because you love Carly. What else about Carly?
I do. I love Carly too. I got to say, I love her.
Do you think she has a chance at winning? And if so, what percentage?
Well, she's going to show up. She's going to show up at this next debate, and that's when America's going to get.
I'm just asking. Let me ask Lena. What's her percentage, and does she have a chance?
Oh, she has a great chance. Percentage-wise, I have no clue. I can't give you.
Now, she ran with the Donald. Wouldn't that be a great ticket?
Fabulous.
That would be.
Wait, what? Yeah, that would.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
I say let her show up and show out.
I got to see her take on Donald.
Well, so those are the candidates that you've examined.
Mm-hmm.
What about the lady that just had the thing with the didn't want to give a marriage license to gay people?
Kentucky, sure.
What's your read on her?
Oh my God, I don't know her. You know what? You need to send me, hey Lena, look at this woman, and then I'll tell you my opinion.
She's aware of the story, but not. Yeah. She probably hasn't seen any of the video.
I got you. From now on, I'm gonna get you some video.
Yeah.
My thought is...
Okay, good. Do it, because I'll come right back on and give you my advice.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You only have to watch that one time, by the way.
Why don't we briefly take people back to your background and how you got involved in what you did for the military, and a little bit of a brief background on you.
Sure. So I was an archaeologist. I had always grown up wanting to be Indiana Jones. I went and got my master's from Brown University. I was digging overseas, and I came back, and I was jobless. So I had a friend say, hey, why don't you join the Navy and enjoy military intelligence, and you can go in as a reservist. And at first I thought, oh, God, no way. And then a month later I was raising my hand. So off I embarked on this whole new career. I graduated my reserve intelligence training program, and when I went to my first unit, I got asked by a commander, and he said, Seaman Cisco, have I got an opportunity for you? We are doing a brand new program with the Marine Corps. The Marines are going to train us on how to interrogate prisoners of war, and we want you to join. And again, at first, I was like, oh, no way, I can't do this. And then the next day, I was like, sign me up. It's a challenge. And, so off I went.
They gave her a towel and a bucket of water for that, right? Did you start off with a towel and a bucket of water?
No, they left that behind.
It seems like you meet the fear, and then you overcome the fear. Like you had the uncertainty about the Navy, you had the uncertainty about the interrogation program. What technique did you use to pull yourself and go, I'm doing it, darn it?
And you know what? I write about this in my book, too. I share two very embarrassing stories. Oh, my gosh, but I did it. Because I want people to know that you can face your fear. You just have to have that drive. So for me, I look at my life, I don't want to leave anything unturned. I want to accept every challenge because it's a challenge for me personally. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It's only for me. Can I push myself to the limit? Can I do this? And I thought, yeah, I can. Nobody's going to stop me. I can do anything I want. And so that, when I stepped away and thought of it kind of looking outside myself, I was like, you're crazy to say no to anything. Go do this. And if you fail, it's okay. People have got to learn they can't be afraid of failure because we are all going to fail at something, probably more than one thing in our lives. But from those failures, you learn. People who've never failed, they don't learn anything.
Great message.
And you know what we eventually fail at? Breathing. So you might as well have some fun while you're here.
Right.
Lena Cisco, I want to ask you also, you have something in your book called Hitler hands, but only use in extreme circumstances. What are Hitler hands, and when would you use them?
All right, so Hitler hands are when you're putting your hand out and the palm is facing down and you're reprimanding somebody. It's a very aggressive, powerful move. If you need to really take on a bully or somebody that's undermining you in the office, give them the Hitler hand. Say what you have to say, speak your mind, and put your hand in that position. Because at that point, nobody is going to step over you. No, and you have
when the palms are
authority.
down, you mean? So kind of like you're pushing down.
Yeah, the palm is down. Exactly. Think of when you were a little kid and your parents would say, go to your room, do your homework. They're saying it with their arm out and their palm down.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lena, we'll be back in a moment, and then I will tell you a story, and I'll tell Tom a story of a time I used Hitler hands to benefit. So this is the American Roundtable. I know you can't wait. I'm Al Spry.
Tom McCullough.
So glad to have our friend Lena Cisco. She is great. She is beautiful, and she's really super smart. She wrote a book called You're Lying, Secrets from an Expert Military Interrogator to Spot the Lies and Get to the Truth. We'll be right back here on the best show on Tough TV, the American Roundtable. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Tom McCullough.
We have You're Lying. It's a great new book from Lena Cisco. Lena's here with us live. Lena, how are you?
I'm great. Enjoying my time with you guys.
I think the word would be tolerating. She's putting up with us.
Hey, let me tell you something. I have to put up with me. I'm a pain in the butt.
I want to know more about this.
So did you think that was a lie when I said that, Lena, or do you think that was honest?
Yeah.
I think you're pretty darn honest, because I would go with that.
You don't have to answer. You don't have to answer.
I'd go with that.
You don't have to answer every question he asks you. Just let me put that up right away.
Tom, are you getting jealous? I know you are.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
getting jealous.
I had another angle to throw at this, if you don't mind. Knowing who you are by way of this book, it's not who you are, but it's something that you did, a great accomplishment. Those that know you, people that meet you for the first time, and, she knows when you're lying. Do you get a lot of people that stand back a little bit or watch them, or do you find them trying to modify how they present themselves to you, thinking that you're kind of like the person behind the curtain and you know what's really going on?
Yeah. All the time, Tom. All the time. Which is why I don't tell people right off what I do.
Well, good. I wouldn't tell them
They become so self-conscious. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Say you're going on are you with a steady man right now?
No, I'm not. Come on, I read body language.
I know. So how does that affect how do you try to put that aside so that, like, going on a date, so you're not watching the guy constantly?
Oh.
You know what? I tell people I have a switch. It takes a lot of effort for me to analyze everything, and sometimes I just don't care. So, if I start to care, I'll turn the switch on. If not, it's off. And I just enjoy myself.
Yeah, that's cool.
Did you have kind of, before this training, did you have some sort of intuitive sense that you read body language or had any base awareness of it to begin with? Had you read anything about it? And whether you did or not, did the military really deliver the goods to you as far as you're concerned?
The military did, only because that's when I jumped into this whole field of interrogation. But I will tell you that prior to my life in the military, I was a former archaeologist and anthropologist. So I had already been assessing and reading body language, but at a cultural level, if that makes any sense. So I knew all about gestures. And, of course, as a female, I have that intuition. And there's an MRI study out there that does scientifically prove that females have more receptors in the brain to pick up on nonverbal behavioral indicators than men do, which is probably why we are so, perceptive about that.
So you've always been digging in the dirt or going through it. Okay.
Does that have to do with finding an appropriate mate to mate with? Is that kind of like where that comes from?
I don't know. No, well, I'll tell you.
No, I mean, like, from our biology and stuff. Is it when the woman has more receptors, she could say, "Is this a keeper?" or drop them.
Well, our receptors are probably
well, I tell you how it does
in
play in.
I'm sorry.
So females have babies, right? So the mother has to interact with this child who can't speak. So what does she do? She reads the child's body language.
There you go.
Right? Yeah.
So let me tell you guys a story about the Hitler hand. So I was in a club, and it was a rock and roll show. I had gotten free tickets to it. I think it was Marilyn Manson. Kind of a wacky show. But you hear about people. It's free tickets. What the hell? So I went with my friend, and we went to there, and there was a little mosh pit going on, where guys kind of push each other, kind of letting off steam or whatever. Happens at rock shows. And the guys were kind of pushing, and my friend moshed with the guy, and then the guy pushed Al what he thought was a little too hard. So Al came right up against him. I got between him, and I used the Hitler hands, and I went, no, like that. And these guys were both about 6'3", and I'm 5'10.5", and each one weighed in excess of 285 pounds. So, but they stopped. So I would say I used Hitler hands successfully.
I think that...
I would say you did, too. That's fabulous.
Would you say that technique has something to do with a very visual sign of putting all the energy down in the room, stay away from me, and almost pushing on top, like back off, stay away, this is my moment, shut up, and
for sure.
And then you express yourself, then you step back and your hands go in front of your face before you get hit. Okay.
Or you just run really, 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 really fast. But, Lena, we have about a minute left, 30 seconds left. Some final words for us.
We didn't touch.
Final words.
We
Oh my gosh.
We didn't even get. Got to come back.
Well, she does.
I know. You're going to have me back. That's my
will.
final words. Have me back so I can get into a lot more stuff to share with all of your listeners and viewers.
Where can people
There's
get your
a lot
book,
of
and what's your
people out
website
there
one
who
more
want to-
time?
Okay, so where can you get my book? Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble. If you Google it, it pops right up. My website is thecongruencygroup.com.
Say that again slowly.
thecongruencygroup, altogether.com.
Wonderful.
You know what I like about your website? Nobody even knows what congruency is, but it's fun. I do. Like you try to tell people.
Yeah,
and
good.
they're like,
I was
"No."
going to ask you if you did.
All right, Lena, thank you very
my
much.
dad was like,
and we
"What does that
appreciate
mean?"
having you on the American Roundtable.
Thanks, Lena.
My name is Al Spry.
I'm Tom McCullough.
And, of course, we'll have Lena back on very soon because we could show her more politicians that we could all make fun of. This is the American Roundtable.
There you go.
We'll be back. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Tom McCullough.
And this is the Straight Talk Zone, politics as unusual as we can get it because we're pretty straight-shooting guys.
Try to be.
And Lena would love us because we are. I think she does love us. I think there is an infatuation there.
I kept getting a text that said you're a liar.
Well, it was great to have Lena Cisco on, and we'll have her on again because she parses it. Nobody gets it better.
Yeah.
You wanted to bring up the refugee situation, and I wanted to let you have the floor on that.
Well, I have a thought about that, and it came to me after watching more than 500,000 what I will call invaders, not refugees. What was perceived as a wave of refugees running away from famine and death and a war zone is really become, in my mind, an ocean of illegal immigrants. Because what's happening in a grand way, it's not just people from Syria, it's people from Libya that are getting fake IDs to represent themselves as Syrians. You've got people from Egypt, you've got people from all parts of that region saying, wow, it's like the great Exodus. Let's get out of here. Let's get where it's good. Okay, we get over to Turkey, it's good. We've got tents, we've got water, we've got electricity. We're not being bombed, we're not being shelled, we're being protected, but that's not good enough for us. Lebanon's not good enough for us. Oh, and Greece is not good enough for us. Why? Because they want to go where the money is. They want to go where there's free money. And I don't want to come off harsh or incompassionate here, but to me, there are people that really need help. But when the European nation is being pressed so hard to take in these masses, I mean, huge numbers, and then just absorb them and put them into their system and make sure they've got food, a roof over their head, an opportunity for an education and jobs in communities that are already strapped with budgets, countries who barely can make ends meet as it is because of their large welfare system. I think it's asking a lot. So I had this idea. Mm-hmm. Greece, as you know, has been in everybody's pockets to keep their economy alive, all right? The Euro nations have been supporting it as they continually miss their deadlines to pay.
25% unemployment.
So here's a plan. Take a very large Greek island. Find a Greek island out there. They got a zillion
Crete.
of them. Take one of them.
Yeah, let's say Crete.
Take one of them. Mm-hmm. Okay, and all the Euro nations that are now taking all of these people all agree we're going to channel some of this money to this island. Mm-hmm. And we're going to put in an infrastructure. We're going to have utilities. We're going to have buildings, we're going to have roads, we're going to have medicine, we're going to have food, and we're going to do something on a par with the Berlin airlift for 2 years after World War II, where we dropped daily planefuls of food, water, and sustenance, okay? bring everybody to that island. They then will arrive at a place that is far better than what they left to begin with, and it's theirs. Here's your new country. Have a nice day. And we're going to subsidize you. We're going to continue to feed you and make you whole and make you well, but we're going to keep you from invading our borders where we already have a full plate.
I understand your point there, Tom. I can just say this. It's an interesting idea, but it's impractical.
We're going to give Greece a deal on the money, though. We're going to say, look, give us an island, and we're going to cut you some slack on what you owe all of us.
They're going to say, basically, this is the international side.
Keep
going.
What
is that?
Go to Germany. They've already taken 700,000.
I'll tell you what, it's a growing population. It's a growing world. We're going to see increasing excursion over the borders. And it's the new normal, folks. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Mad.
I know you are. Mad Tom McCullough. In fact, I am going to call you Mad Tom McCullough from here on forward. This is the American Roundtable. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And have a great week.